I just woke up from a rather amazing nap. Unfortunately, it's now 12 o'clock at night, which means that I'm not going to get any proper sleep, which means that I might as well just film a video, which is going to consist of a stream of consciousness about the state of modern dating. Because while I was napping, I was having a sort of subconscious dream in a way. It was very peculiar. I found myself going downstairs as if you were going into a basement, and I was going downstairs with a woman, a really beautiful woman, I guess. I don't know your standard of beauty, okay? I don't know. But anyway, it was quite clear to me that this woman was my partner. She was quite a bit older than me. She sort of had a Patti Smith sort of ambiance and look and style to her. And we were looking in these mirrors, the sorts of mirrors that you see in ballet studios. And we were just walking in this room, which consisted of all these mirrors. And nothing actually happened. This basically took the span of, I'd say, less than 10 seconds of my subconscious dream state. But I remember waking up just now, and I was so mournful for this because I knew that this person was my partner, and I knew that I was looking at both of us just walking toward, I don't know, into the void of darkness. But it was just so beautiful, and it was just one of those dreams that you have when you wake up and you realize that your life is nothing like that, and it just makes you feel so depressed and so sad, and you realize that you're alone. And so you do the stupid thing, which is to reactivate one of your dating app profiles and accounts. And that doesn't actually do the desired thing of somehow satiating the pain and the agony and the sense of I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. Instead, it just reaffirms that belief. And that's exactly what happened to me over the past 15 minutes before I decided to film this video. And you know, there's a lot of reasons for why online dating is just in such a dismal and terrible state. There's reasons from the fact that it's for a particular demographic of people, that because it's about a profile and it's about curation of a profile and a picture and an aesthetic or image, that it's not actually about people, that there are far more, at least when it comes to heterosexual dating sites, men than there are women. And so it creates a very distorted imbalance, an imbalance that oftentimes creates a lot of hostility and a lot of rage and anger among young men. And of course, just generally, it isn't in any way true to the way that we actually form connections with people. It isn't true to the way that we actually assess and evaluate people that we meet in real life. We see them engaging in particular activities, in particular skills, doing particular things. We see the entire embodied human being interacting with the world, not virtually, not just as they want to be seen, but ultimately as we see them. And that obviously makes us attracted to people who we otherwise wouldn't be attracted to when we see them online, and vice versa. And so I have now very smartly deactivated my dating profile yet again. I'm not yet at the point where I'm going to delete it. I think mainly because of paranoia and sort of a last ditch attempt or hope at something. I don't know. I know it's not healthy at all, but at least for now, I'm done. I'm done once again. But for the last few months, I have been thinking about this rather extensively because I have made the decision overall, I guess a foundational decision, which sometimes I lapse from, i.e. reactivating my dating profile, but ultimately a foundation that I have really come to fall on and have come to accept for myself, which is that I'm not ready to be in a relationship. And this is a hard thing to accept because obviously it isn't what I want, but it is, I have come to realize, what I need. And I think this is something which forms a lot of my thought at the moment on why online dating is in the state that it is, why dating in general, which is informed greatly more so by online dating, is in the state that it is. But just before we get into the nitty-gritty of the video, I'd like to give a huge thank you to today's video sponsor, Babbel. Now, if you don't know what Babbel is one of the world's top language learning apps. Through real-life conversations, scenarios, interactive games, and Babbel's carefully curated magazine for all 14 languages on offer, Babbel is truly one of a kind when it comes to your language learning journey. Now, as I like to always remind you, I have been using Babbel since mid-2023 in order to learn Russian and Portuguese, and it has truly been a transformative experience. Challenging myself, but also seeing my development in such a short span of time has honestly boosted my confidence in language learning, and it's reminded me that you're really never too old to take on something like learning an entirely new language.
Mais devagar, por favor.
Mais devagar, por favor.
Nós vamos levar bolo pra festa.
Nos vamos lavar un bolo pra festa. 8 out of 10 right. That was a good revision session. And the beauty of Babbel is that you can apply it to your particular needs or wants. Whether it's self-improvement you're looking for, or professional development to advance your career prospects, or seeking to form better connections with your family and friends abroad, or you just want to do something new, Babbel is truly the app for you. And one other feature I love about Babbel is that you can learn in a variety of different ways, such as through games. One game that I love to play is called Word Tracks. It's quite high stakes, so I definitely recommend it, but it really helps me to learn spelling and, importantly, to keep revising. And with Babbel, you can revise easily through creating your own collections of words and phrases. You can go over your previous lessons, previous vocabulary, and therefore you are not only constantly improving, but importantly, remembering everything that you have already learned. Over 150 language experts and teachers have curated Babbel's unique features just for you. So why not challenge yourself to something new or enjoy something exciting and fun today with Babbel? You can get a truly incredible 60% off your subscription by using my link linked in my description box. And with your subscription through my link, not only do you get a 20-day money-back guarantee, but you also get access to live classes, 2 of which are free with your subscription. Now remember, that is 60% off your subscription using my link down in the description box and as a pinned comment. And as I always ask with my Babbel sponsored videos, please let me know what language you are learning. It's really phenomenal knowing the breadth and scope of my audience, and it's just so interesting finding out about you, your cultures, your language. And I'm sure that one day with Babbel, I will actually be able to speak to you fluently. Thank you so very much to Babbel for sponsoring today's video. And now let's get back to it. I think in short, there is a substantial mismatch between our wants and our needs. I think what online dating has really put at the forefront and the center of everything is this idea that we know our wants and that our wants can make us happy and that our wants are what will produce a good, everlasting relationship with someone. And wants are very easy to identify. They are also very easy to categorize, which is why on dating apps such as On Her, which I was recently on and just perusing through, everything is ultimately about wants, and it's about you. The questions that you have to answer are questions that are all about you. What are your favorite things? What do you like to do? If somebody were to ask you what restaurant you wanted to go to, what would it be? What is your love language? Those sorts of things. Very much things that are associated with what somebody may want and ultimately with you and everything to do with you. And as I said, these are quite easy. These can be categorized, and there are categories for things. Categories for all your interests or your hobbies, your favorite films, your favorite music, whether you like to go to the theater, what plays you like. Do you want somebody who is a dog or a cat person, or neither? Are you a top or a bottom? Do you prefer butchers or lipstick lesbians? Or, God forbid, the subtle difference between the lipstick and the chapstick lesbian? And because wants are easy, you can very easily categorize them. And so, at least with lesbians, you have your categories of your butch lesbians, your hard butch lesbians and your soft butch lesbians. You have your lipstick and your chapstick lesbians. You have your pillow princesses. You have your soft and your hard femme lesbians. And then generically on all dating apps, you have your dating preferences. Dating preferences which I would distinguish between sort of the dating preferences which make a lot of sense and which I would say have more to do with need, such as having somebody who is of the same religion as you, or somebody who is even of the same ethnicity as you. That most definitely makes sense as a dating preference. Those sorts of things. I would distinguish those kinds of preferences from the ones that are more mainstream today. Dating preferences such as that somebody has to be a certain height, that you like dating somebody who is of a particular ethnic group, not for any reason that sort of has to do with, I guess, lineage, but more so to do with the fact that you just like the aesthetic of that place. You like Spanish guys, or you like Latin guys. You like Asian women, specifically South Korean woman. Preferences that are based more so and very clearly on what I would categorize as wants. And dating apps and modern dating in general that is informed by dating apps is a cesspool for catering to people's wants and telling and informing people that their wants can not only be met, but that these wants will get them to the point of having a long-lasting and loving relationship.
What race has the most attractive guys?
Black.
Why?
Well, one, because I'm black, but two, we're athletic, tall, strong. Black men don't cheat.
What race has the most attractive guys?
Light skins.
Why?
They're always like tall and their features are always really nice.
What else about them though?
Good personalities, the loyalty is usually there.
What race has the most attractive guys?
I like all, but overall light-skinned guys.
Why?
They're just so attractive. They treat you very well.
Alright, Alicia, like, what's the most attractive race?
Turkish men.
Turkish men? Why?
They just be fine and they know how to treat a woman, so.
Word? Alright, so what's the most unattractive race?
White people.
Why do you think white people?
Because they just seem unseasoned and don't know culture like that. I'm not saying all, but like most.
Okay. What about you? What's the most attractive race?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Like, I'm trying to figure out what race treats their women the best.
Right.
And I don't know, like Hispanics. I guess Hispanics.
Hispanic, like, no black people?
I'm not gonna lie. I've seen a lot of black men mistreat like the women figures in their life, and I don't really fuck with that. Like, I'm not saying they're not physically attractive because they are. They're fine as fuck.
Right.
But like, I'm not trying to fuck with that. Like the disrespect.
You smart.
I think you can also see how prevalent this culture of want and wants is in the substantial rise in polyamorous relationships. Now, I'd just like to preface this by saying that I do know that there are people who are actually polyamorous, but the high rise and the unusually high rise in polyamorous relationships is, I think, very much based and informed by circumstantial facts of the matter in our modern societies. For instance, it's no wonder that polyamorous relationships are so high in modern cities where the cost of living is just unaffordable for not just single people, but increasingly so for a monogamous young couple. Add into that young people are not as into commitment, and that committing at a young age is quite taboo actually, and isn't something that we do for understandable reasons, and because of the way that society is moving, because it is taking a lot longer for us to grow up. And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. I just mean that more people are going into higher education, people are living at home with their parents for a lot longer, and so the idea of committing to somebody and settling down with somebody and starting a family with somebody is sort of out of the frame of reference for a lot, if not most, young people right now, because it's really an impossibility. And so an alternative to that, and a solution or a resolution to that, is to enter into alternative forms of relationship creation. If your monogamous relationship is failing, well, you can just add somebody else to your relationship, or you can enter into a polyamorous arrangement. I've definitely noticed that being on dating apps, increasingly I am seeing that monogamous relationships as like a type or a preference is not as commonplace as I would have believed it to be about a year ago even. Polyamorous relationships seem to really fill a void for a lot of people. If you're in a polycule, you can afford to live in a city because there are multiple streams of income coming in to pay rent. You can also have a partner who you love, and you can have other partners in that arrangement, which ultimately balances out any kinds of fears of infidelity or lack of commitment, which allows you to still enjoy being quote unquote young and free. And I do think that this is a distorted view of what polyamory really is. I can see sort of real instances of people in polyamorous relationships, and it differs greatly from this more mainstream understanding of polyamory, which seems to be, I wouldn't say everywhere, but seems to be quite prevalent and on the rise for a lot of especially young people. And I don't necessarily see this as a problem. I see this more so as something interesting for me to analyze, but also personally for me, I do find it quite heartbreaking and quite sad, as I said, on a personal level, because it is very peculiar to sort of be a person that wants to commit and settle down with somebody, but my demographic and age group is not inclined to do that. And by not inclined to do that, I don't mean that they are not inclined to do that because of absolute choice. I think that circumstance and situation most definitely pushes particular kinds of choices that we make. Being alternative and being in alternative relationships is very trendy at the moment, and young people are very susceptible to trends and to setting trends. And I think a main reason why polyamorous arrangements are on the rise is because the people who we are in relationships with on a monogamous level, at least at first or initially, are not fulfilling our needs. Let me give an example that I saw this evening between wants and needs in this regard. When I was on Her, there is this feature where you can add pins or stickers, I believe, to your profile. And the stickers were the following. Now, I found these stickers very interesting, mainly because of how politicized they were. These pins clearly have an agenda, and it's all well and good if you are all for this agenda and if this is something that you resonate with. But I am quite certain that for a lot of lesbians and a lot of queer people, this doesn't resonate. As we've seen online, there are a lot of queer people who say that they do not associate with or do not feel at home in the LGBTQ+ community. And I would say that the exact same thing runs true for the current state of heterosexual arrangements and heterosexual dating and dating apps. A lot of people don't feel at home in those spaces or like it is a space that they are welcome in. What I really noticed is that these stickers are everything to do with wants. What we want in people. We want people, and especially in lesbian spaces, we want people to be progressive. We want them to be leftists. We want them to be very liberal in their belief systems and in their social mores. And we're so fixated on these idealized wants that I think we conflate them with what we actually need. When I think about what I need, I really don't need somebody that is going to say that Black Lives Matter. I really don't need somebody who's going to be a butch lesbian or a chapstick lesbian. What I need is somebody who is going to be proud of me. I need somebody who's going to care about my day, who's going to be interested in what I do with my day, with what I do with my life. I need somebody who is going to be concerned about our sexual and intimate relationship, who's going to want to improve on it if things go wrong, who's going to want to talk to me honestly and openly about things that are just very uncomfortable to talk about, that I or they may be very vulnerable about. I need somebody who is going to treat me with the utmost respect in every single social and personal situation that we are in. I need somebody who's going to affirm my existence and who is going to let me affirm their existence. I need somebody who I can be proud of, who I can cheer on, who I can be a support system and a support network for. I need somebody who's not just going to be faithful, but who's going to be entirely honest with me even when I don't want to hear the truth. When they feel that I am not present, when they feel that I'm not being the loving partner which they need, I need them to be able to come to me and for us to talk about it and for us to sort it out, rather than them seeking that kind of validation and that connection, an emotional connection or sexual connection from someone else. I need somebody who's going to accept that I'm going to get old, that I'm going to change, that my sex drive is going to change, and I need them to be there for me during that time, and vice versa. I need somebody who's going to be sociable with me, who is going to go out into the world with me, and that we are going to be a team when we go out into the world. And it is very, very difficult to find a person who meets those needs. It is very difficult, especially at such a young age when we are all growing up, when we're all trying to navigate things. And even at an older age, this is not just a thing for young people, this is for everyone. It is incredibly hard to find somebody who will meet all of those needs. And those are my needs. Your needs may be very different. And I think everybody's needs are very, very different, which is why there's so many different kinds of people in different kinds of relationships with people who you would never expect. But I hope that you can see how different my needs are from, say, the wants that I was listing, and even the wants that I have. I have particular wants, particular dating preferences, and, preferences are perfectly fine. But I think the issue with preferences is that increasingly we are inclined to see our preferences as needs as opposed to wants. We are far more inclined to allow our preferences to completely obliterate any reference to our needs because we see those preferences being met, and we conflate those wants with our our needs. I don't think we have conversations or genuine conversations with ourselves about what we need in a relationship or what we need from people. And I think when it comes to that, we end up either settling for somebody who doesn't actually meet all of our needs, or we end up finding a plethora of different people to meet our needs, either through being unfaithful or through what I see as the proliferation or the rise in polyamorous arrangements and alternative relationship styles and types that I don't think we would otherwise be interested in if all of our needs were being met by one person. And is it unrealistic to think that a person can meet all of your needs? I don't think so. I think we get very impatient as people. And I'd say that especially insofar as I can observe, young men are particularly impatient. Understandably so. The amount of pressure that is on young men to start a family, to settle down, to be successful, and comparing themselves to their fathers and their grandfathers is quite insane, to say it rather bluntly. And I think what men do, and what a lot of not just young men, but just seeing divorce rates of older men, what a lot of men do is they settle. I think men settle a lot more than women do, and I think that modern men settle a lot more than modern women do, because a lot of men, many young men, are quite starved of affection, of emotionality, of connection with the opposite sex. When just one woman from anywhere shows you attention, you will go for her, even though you haven't really asked yourself, does this woman fulfill my needs? I think because of this very overused statement and claim that men are visual creatures, right? And because a lot of men are on dating apps, far more men than women are on dating apps, I think that sort of being a visual creature is far more the case than ever before. And I think that is ultimately a matter of want and what you want. You see something that you want, but do you need that? Does that want fulfill your needs? I think this can be seen perfectly in the red pill community, especially with red pill men often equating and inflating wants with needs. They want a woman who's going to look like an OF model but acts like a trad wife. They want a woman that looks like a Stacy but is going to act like a Virgin Mary. They want sex. They don't need sex. What they need is intimacy and intimate connection with somebody. And that is a lot harder not just to find, but a lot harder to cultivate within yourself, so that you can be as much a giving partner to somebody as you are a receiving partner to somebody. And I don't think we're ready to have these conversations, not just with ourselves, but with other people, let alone with a potential significant other. And I think what happens, and what I see with a lot of my male friends, is that they end up settling for women, for the first or the few women that show them attention, and it doesn't work out because their needs aren't actually being fulfilled. They haven't really reckoned with or understood what their needs are. I think with men more so than women, your needs are reduced to sex, food, and looks good. And that's about it. And I think it's quite sad that we've sort of done this to men as a society, that we sort of reduced them to beasts, and that's all they're really meant to be, and that's all we expect of them. I think it's also sad that dating apps have not just reinforced this, but are perpetuating this on an insane level. But I think that just being in society and a member of society, there's so much pressure, not just pressure from ourselves, pressure from external circumstances, but also biological pressure. If you want to have children, if you want to start a family, then you have to really, at some point, you allegedly have to settle. And so dating is, if I can be so bold, it's hard. I don't think dating apps are serving us insofar as our needs are concerned. I think we have really, as just a people in modern societies, conflated so much of our wants with our needs, and it isn't working. Clearly, it isn't working. We are having far less children. We are far less happy. We are all on antidepressants, and we aren't getting anywhere beyond just bickering and fighting with each other online about gender, about sex, about everything under the moon, really. We've turned dating into a bit of a frenzy of wants, from what we want to see politically, from what we want to see idealistically, from what we want to see aesthetically. And somehow we think that all of that is going to translate into good, healthy, and meaningful relationships. I don't know. I've just been thinking about this lately. I've just been thinking about this in terms of trying to instill a sense of patience in myself, a sense of patience in knowing that at some point I will be the person that I want to be, and that I'll find the person that I want to find and want to spend the rest of my life with, but that isn't going to happen now. I don't see that happening at this stage of my life. I think I'm firstly too young. I don't relate or associate very well with my generation. I don't have the same kinds of, I would say, needs, nor the same kinds of wants. And it's quite clear to me that this isn't just a me thing. This is a thing that I think a lot of people are feeling and have been feeling for a long time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. This was more so just a rambling, and as I said at the beginning of this video, a stream of consciousness about my thoughts on the state of dating right now. I'd love to hear and to read your experiences down below. Please give this video a like, and please also, if you like this setup, I'm not too sure about this, sitting on my bed and talking, but yes, I was just thinking of doing something new. And yes, thank you as always for watching and for supporting the channel, and I'll see all of you very, very soon in the next one.